Guys, yes, we have a massive video today. I am taking you through the top trade for candidates and trade away candidates as we head into week 5 of fantasy football. We have like 30 players to discuss today, so I'm not going to waste any more time. Let us get into it, beginning with Trey Benson. So I think Trey Benson is a trade for candidate. He's a very controversial player right now after week 4. But what we saw in week 4 is he dominated the rushing snaps, had over 70% of those opportunities purely running the ball, had 5 targets. And basically what I tweeted today, if you guys follow me at JoeAricoFF, is that he is basically James Conner. So looking at James Conner's game log before he got injured, we'll just look at weeks 1 and 2. Had 12 attempts and 11 attempts. Cool. Had 5 total targets. Okay. Trey Benson had 5 targets in one game, simply one game as the starter. Conner was not breaking the record books here in terms of rushing yards, had 39 yards and then 39, then 34 yards in his 2 healthy games. Trey Benson was just around there with 35 on less carries. So it's basically James Conner with Trey Benson, but a little bit more explosive and can do more in the pass game, which is great. Emari Demercado is the reason he's not a RB1. He's not an RB1. He's an RB2, a good RB2. And coming off of, 10 PPR points, 8 half PPR points, whatever it is, a very good trade target. All right. And we will talk about who we're going to trade away later in the video. Now, next up, this is a very obvious one. It is Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay. So thanks. Yeah. Groundbreaking stuff here. Trade from Jahmyr Gibbs. But I just want to look at the leading running backs right now in fantasy. So we have James Cook, Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, Josh Jacobs, Etienne, Javonte Williams, and then Jahmyr Gibbs. So out of this group, okay, who do we think is most likely to rise and or fall here, okay? This is literally what you have to do. So we look at Jahmyr Gibbs. He is in, let's just do this, right? Of the offenses listed here, Buffalo, Indianapolis, Atlanta, San Fran, Green Bay, Jacksonville, Dallas, Detroit. Which one is the best offense? You have Gibbs, Detroit, and you have James Cook. Okay, fair enough. So those two, so he's top 2 there. Let's do injury risk. Which one of these 8 running backs has high injury risk? Let's do that. Which ones have high injury risk? I would argue Jonathan Taylor frequently has missed games in his career. Christian McCaffrey. Josh Jacobs got banged up last night. Etienne is known to have missed some time. Javonte. Okay, so that there's like 5 running backs where Jahmyr Gibbs has a leg up on them. Let's see. What else should we do? Pass catching? Who gets more work in the receiving game than Gibbs here? Maybe Bijan, probably McCaffrey. So what, 2 of the running backs? You guys get my point, right? I think that Gibbs is the RB1 rest of season, and he's currently the RB8 in fantasy scoring. Over the course of the entire season, that RB8 just ticks up as he plays every game, as he continues to average 20 fantasy points in PPR, right? So especially in PPR leagues, if you have a James Cook, a Jonathan Taylor, a Josh Jacobs, an Etienne, a Javonte, I'm looking to flip that into a guy like Gibbs. If you have Bijan and McCaffrey, cool, you're on the same level. Those are the top 3 running backs rest of season. Not much more to discuss there. All right, Zach Charbonnet is a trade for candidate, and this one's kind of ugly, but the Seahawks are using him in a fashion that is frustrating for Ken Walker managers, and spoiler alert, we will talk about him in a little while, potentially as a trade away candidate, but Charbonnet is getting the red zone work. He's getting the 2-minute drill. His role is a little more valuable, even though he's only 47% of snaps, and they just love using him. So of the 2, right, even though Walker's great, Walker's the better player, the better rusher, of the 2, okay, Charbonnet is cheaper, and his role is a little bit more valuable. So you can pick him up for RB4 price tags, RB3 for your bench, and he's a usable flex approaching bye weeks. I think he's a nice target. Just continuously gets it done, to be honest. Obviously, week 2 against Pittsburgh was pretty awful. 15 attempts for 10 yards. I get it. But in PPR leagues, if he can be a bench player for you, he's a nice trade target. And we are going to cover a wide range of players. We just went to Gibbs, then we went to a bench player. We are now back at, some would say, the superstar level here with Ashton Jeanty. This is a buy high. I think the days of 33.5 PPR fantasy points that we saw in week 4, I think they continue. I think they are heavily dropped here into the schedule. We have Indianapolis, Tennessee, 2 fine matchups, especially Tennessee. Kansas City's a little bit harder than the bye week. Then you get Jacksonville, which is not so bad. Denver, you can't pass on them. You have to run. Dallas, easy. Cleveland sucks in week 12. But the schedule isn't awful. It's not awful, okay? If they're handing him 23 opportunities per game, we're going to see these 30-plus games more often. It took him 4 weeks to to go crazy. But again, if we just go to the running back leaderboard here, guys that I would send away for him, potentially 1-for-1, probably not. You probably got to work some other things in there, but the main change is these running backs for Jeanty. They would include, let's see, Jacobs, yes, Etienne, Javonte. Yeah, that's kind of it of the guys above him, right? He's 10th right now. But those players you can send for Jeanty, I believe, in some sort of deal and make that happen, buy high. Speaking of buying high, but not high enough yet, is Quinshon Judkins, top 12 running back for me to finish the year here. So you can probably buy him for RB2 price, probably low-end RB2 price, because he's only playing 58% of the snaps. You can say, oh, he doesn't have the pass down work, whatever. 4 targets, caught all 4, 33 yards. Top 12 running back for me to close the season, going for RB2 price. And a rookie, which we love. Now, this one is unpopular, but for you 3-1 teams, 4-0 teams, DeAndre Swift is a guy that you should probably go target. You can buy him as a flex. He's seeing 15-plus opportunities in every single game in this Bears offense, which is getting better every week when they don't play Max Crosby. And Swift isn't good. I'm not sitting here telling you, oh my God, look at Swift's advanced metrics. Look at his yards per carry. I'm not telling you he's good, dude. Okay, he's not that good. He's not that good, but they are committed to him. He's the lead running back, 66% of snaps again. Monungai's factoring in, but he's not amazing either. So until they trade for someone, Swift is going to be the lead running back. He goes for RB3 price. He's an RB2, especially in PPR leagues. 6 targets yesterday. Got in the end zone. 16 fantasy points in PPR on 2.7 yards per carry. So it's kind of like so bad that it's almost impressive. Again, you buy him for a flex, you can start him as an RB2 behind a guy like Gibbs, Jeanty, a good RB1. It's definitely possible. So when the entire universe, this is some good advice, okay? I actually think this is genuinely good advice. When the entire universe, the fantasy football universe is zigging, we have to zag, okay? It sounds a little cliche, but everyone hates DeAndre Swift. Cool. Here's the reality. He's an RB2. He gets 20 opportunities per game. He has that ceiling. He can get in the end zone. He's giving you 15 fantasy points. That is the reality. So your entire league hates DeAndre Swift. Be the guy who works into a deal. We can okay, how do I put this? Even the worst player, okay? The worst player. Maybe not the worst player, but like an RB4, an RB5, right? Same thing for wide receiver. Just guys that we're not interested in. A lot of people don't like. They can become appealing depending on what you pay for them. I don't want to go ahead and send RB2s for Swift. I don't want to go ahead and send Chuba. Maybe Chuba, but I don't want to send Skattebo, Dobbins, for example, Judkins. I don't want to send these players for Swift. But Jordan Mason, get off my team for DeAndre Swift. David Montgomery, goodbye. Players like that, okay, where a lot of people are going to take the players you're sending. That's okay, let them. And then they can, quote, upgrade you elsewhere in a 2-for-2 deal. That's what you have to be doing. We move along to Woody Marks, the rookie, and yeah, I think that we have RB1 ceiling here. I think we have top 12 ceiling, especially in PPR. This is basically the Bucky Irving of this year. I really think that's the case. Joe Mixon is simply just probably not coming back. There's no timetable for his return as we are 4 weeks in. News broke today, no timetable. So Chubb is not the answer. Coach Ryan was talking up what Marks did this week today, which is, what is today? Monday. He was talking him up today, what he did after the game, and he said, we're excited to see how much more work he can handle. We have Baltimore next, who is the worst run defense. We have a bye. Okay, so rookies typically get the bye week bump. So in Seattle, at Seattle week 7, that stinks. San Fran, we just saw Travis Etienne decimate them. That's cool. Denver, we talked a little bit about them earlier. Good defense, but you can't pass on them, so you have to run, or at least try to. Then Jacksonville, Tennessee, Buffalo, so it opens up. And here's the thing, with Woody, we don't need the Texans O-line to be good because he's going to see 5 targets, 4 targets, dare I say 6 targets as the role grows. How many targets did Chubb get? Because all those are going to start to go to Woody. Yeah, Chubb 2 targets yesterday, and Woody had 5. So, when Woody starts putting up 6, 7, when Woody starts putting up 6 to 7 targets, it's going to be it's going to be potentially fantasy breaking here. Over 4 yards per carry in each of the last 3 games. I would trade for him as an RB2. Like we just talked about RB2s I'd send away. Let's continue to go down the list. Tony Pollard, goodbye for Woody Marks. Who else, man? I mean, there's some names here. You could probably send Bashal too, and you could probably send, like, if you got Charbonnet, you could probably send him for Woody Marks or Ken Walker, right? People are definitely going to value Walker over Marks. That might be true, but maybe you work the deal where it's 2 for 2 in your favor, okay? So those are some names I like. We have Justin Jefferson as we transition into the wide receivers. Again, kind of an obvious one, but I mentioned players all from the top to the bottom. Obviously, Jefferson is a stud. That goes without saying. I don't need to talk about that anymore, but there have been QB questions. It's been a bit of an issue here with McCarthy, then Wentz. Pittsburgh is a good pass defense. Like, anytime you got Jalen Ramsey out there wreaking havoc, J.J. Watt, there are easier matchups is my point. I know they're having a rough start to the year, but yeah, 11 targets. And I said this in the last video, but I had a friend message me yesterday and be like, yo, are there any good wide receivers this year? Because unless you have Amon-Ra or Puka, it doesn't seem like it. Facts. Or JSN, I guess, but even he had just 13 points. Just 13 points last week. But it's true. The elite wide receiver landscape is kind of desolate right now. There's like 2 guys you want, especially with Malik Neighbors going down. And JJ should finish in that tier. He should finish as a top 3, top 4 guy, competing, lining up across from Puka and ARSB in lineups and putting numbers up. He should be. I think he will. They have the bye in week 6. I'm not too worried here. I would go get him. I would send players. Again, we'll be on Fantasy Pros, top scoring. We're going to be looking at this frequently in this video. It's an easy way to do it, but players I'd send for him. Not Rome. I probably prefer Rome. Quentin Johnston, maybe. Like, I'd probably send Quentin Johnston. I'd send George Pickens, Agbuka. Would not send JSN, but, Adams, Keenan, these types of names. Obviously, a lot of those you can't do 1 for 1, but work it in the deal where if Keenan Allen is your wide receiver 2, you need to make Justin Jefferson your wide receiver 2 in that trade. So Zach Charbonnet's on your bench, Ken Walker's on your bench, right? A player like that, even though we said just trade for Charbonnet, but a player like that, an RB3, high-end RB3, plus Keenan Allen for JJ, these are things I want to be doing. Next up on the list is Courtland Sutton. Now, I'm recording this video on Monday night. He plays in about 1 hour. So we shall see. I'm expecting a good game. I will just say that, knock on wood, hopefully no injuries, whatever, but forgive me, I believe this video is going to be posted Tuesday. If something happens, whatever, has an awful game, maybe even more so, I don't know, unless something crazy happens. But the general vibe here is last season was a wide receiver 1 to finish the year. This season had a very odd game at Indianapolis. The entire offense did. It was like a weird Troy Franklin game plan game. I don't understand that, but Sutton is a high-end wide receiver too. Michael Pittman, sent him away for Sutton. Keenan, sent him away. I have Sutton really in like the Devontae Adams tier, okay? Zay Flowers, goodbye. Garrett Wilson, it's like the same tier, right? Who else? Ricky Pearsall, Marvin Harrison, all these guys, send them for Sutton, including McMillan. I do prefer Sutton. Olave, send him for Sutton. Deals like that, okay? Speaking of Tet McMillan, he is also a trade target. Now, I think when Jalen Coker comes back to this offense, which should be in week 5 or 6, maybe 6, I think it's going to open a lot up for McMillan because Coker will dominate, honestly. Leggett is not that guy. Like, they have no wide receiver 2. The run game is struggling. Bryce Young doesn't look good. But when Coker comes back, Bryce Young will start to look good, and Teteroa McMillan will start to pay off. I promise. I really believe that. You have about 1 week left here to buy Teteroa McMillan. You have about 1 week left. They're going to play Miami next week. He'll probably have a nice game, but 8+ targets in every single game. He has 3 catches and 4 catches the last 2 weeks. Is averaging over 13.5 yards per catch in every single game, has yet to score a touchdown, and they will come. They will come. His bye week is week 14, which is right before the fantasy playoffs, so the bye week bump will come then. Honestly, it will. You will see it still will. That's fine. He will get you to playoffs as a wide receiver too. His floor, we are seeing his floor right now, which has been 12 PPR points, 16, 8, not good, and then 10 yesterday. The 8 points probably kills you in a matchup low-key, but 10, we can survive. I had Trey Benson in a matchup this week. Gave me 10 points. I survived. Didn't feel good, but I survived. I'm here recording this video, winning that matchup. So McMillan is a target. We have Stefon Diggs, who a lot of people don't realize yet is Drake May's number one wide receiver. 63% of snaps, season high. 6 catches, tied the season high on 7 targets, also tying it, but the role was a little bit different, was getting a bit more downfield, 14 yards per target. Season high, 16 yards per catch. Season high, we saw more yak yesterday, the yards after the catch. He's probably fully recovered from the ACL, and the matchups are juicy. Buffalo, New Orleans, Tennessee, Cleveland for the next month. Very good matchups, and he seems to be fully healthy. A lot of people don't realize that. If you can buy for a wide receiver 3, send to Romeo Doubs for Stefon Diggs, something like that. Absolutely. Cedric Tillman's going to miss some time, so Jerry Jeudy's worth discussing. 8+ targets in 3 of 4 games this year. Hasn't connected yet, but man, we've seen Jeudy. When he's hitting, and a lot of that happened last year when Tillman was out. So I think Jeudy is an interesting little trade target. We have Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Miami, New England. Not too scary matchups there. And then for the 5th week in a row now, we have Brian Thomas as a buy low. And yeah, I mean, wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3, like he's fading. If you can send Ladd for Brian Thomas, I would do it. And let me just address Ladd McConkey real quick in a random thought I'm having as we're talking about Brian Thomas. My apologies, boys. It's over for Ladd. I mean, he's got to go to the bench. We talked about it in our previous video this week. Straight to the bench when we see it, okay? He might start as a flex, but I might need to see it a couple games in a row. Keenan Allen's like 37 years old. Potentially he gets injured. We're not wishing for that, but I really think that's like the only way. QJ is the wide receiver 1. So, man, we shall see. But for Brian Thomas, at least he is still the wide receiver 1 on his team. There's no other receiver coming to mess with him. 7 targets again yesterday. Had a few rushing attempts. And, man, it's close. Like, when you watch the games, it's like, damn, there's Brian Thomas open. Oh, damn, good catch, Brian Thomas, except you had 1 foot in. Shit, right? It's like stuff like that. So, it's tough with him. It's tough. Like, I don't even know who I'd send away. You know, like, I'm just looking at the top scorers here. You know, if you can send away a Mike Evans, so random, but if you can, we said Ladd, a Jennings, a Pearsall, honestly, who I like, but you're not sending a lot away for him. If you can get him, I maybe get him, okay? Into the tight end position, we have Brock Bowers. This is very simple. I will keep this short. He is injured. He is not fully healthy. He is wearing a knee brace, the likes of which looks like, looks like something the Terminator would have on out there. He's just not healthy yet, so the panic of Bowers when his floor is literally 10 PPR points, I should say 9. Okay, he had 8.8 in week 2, 9.8, then 9.6 yesterday, 5+ targets in every single game. I'm not worried about Brock. The yards per target is dropping here. In week 1, we saw close to 13, then we saw 4 3/4, then 7.5, then 7.5 again. It's okay. He's not fully healthy, so he's not going to be sprinting up and down the field. So I'm not worried about Bowers. Honestly, a lot of the things Trey Tucker did in week 3, I'm expecting Bowers to come back and kind of rip those longer targets. You got to get him. It's like, oh my God, Christian McCaffrey is, okay, bad example. It's like, oh wow, Bijan's a little banged up, so Algiers getting more work and looking good. Man, are we off Bijan? No, we are in, because when he's fully healthy, he's the guy. It's like the same thing. It's the Bijan of tight end position. It's the Jahmyr of the tight end position when they're fully healthy and their QBs, etc. Right? You guys get what I'm saying. This is like the Bugatti of the tight end position. This guy. And his floor is like a pretty good tight end output of 10 points. And we're seeing it right now. You have to go get him. You have to. The bye is in week 7. Worst case, we need until after the bye. And then it's wheels up. So I hate that saying, by the way. I hate when I catch myself saying wheels up. It's so annoying. Okay. Deep breath. Tucker Kraft, the next tight end. He is like right in that elite tier, obviously. Had a couple games here where it wasn't as good as week 2, where he had 24 points. But last night in that crazy Sunday Night Football game where it was the tie, he was down at the 1-yard line like 2 times. So this could have easily been, almost 20 fantasy points. Got to go get him. Our last buy of the episode, until we get into the sells, is Jayden Daniels at the QB position. And he's just our ticket into the elite tier of QBs. We look at the QBs, what's going on here right now at the QB position. It's pretty interesting. So Josh Allen, Lamar, 1 and 2. Lamar's injured. Mahomes is at 3. I actually think he stays right around there in the top 5. Then you get into Drake May. Daniel Jones. I skipped Caleb Williams because I like him still a lot as a top 6 guy. Baker Mayfield. Justin Herbert, who I like. Dak Prescott, though. Like, there's just some fraud names here in the top 10. Not that those guys aren't good. They are, but they are not as good as Jayden Daniels, who, QB3, I believe it was QB5 in his rookie season, but QB1 there for a big chunk of the season. And he's looked great this year in both his healthy games, averaging 20 fantasy points. So it's a guy I want to be picking up with some crazy matchups coming up. Chicago, then Dallas. Like, we're going to need him on the team. Okay, let's get into the sells of the episode, and we have a fair amount of them, okay? So I guess we'll just start with the only QB on the list. We'll stick with it, but Daniel Jones. I mean, there's a very realistic chance you can go ahead and flip Daniel Jones right now for Jayden Daniels. Like, maybe 1 for 1. Some league mates would do that, but honestly, you're probably gonna have to send a little more, and that's okay. I'm gonna walk you through some pieces that you can send, but we got to get out on Daniel Jones. I'm not interested. We have Las Vegas next, Max Crosby. We have Arizona. Their defense is pretty good. Held the Seahawks at bay, honestly, JSN and Darnold. So, yeah, we got to get out of Daniel Jones. I'm over this. I'm in on Taylor, but Daniel Jones is not this MVP candidate. He had 2 great games to start the season. We've seen him do that. In looking in his career, last year he had 2 games that were really good. Seattle, 22 points in week 5. Washington, 24 points. Okay, the year before, I'm sure there's going to be multiple 20-pointers. Oh, no, look, a 32-pointer in week 2. He is a very boom-bust QB. He's in probably the best system, best situation of his career. He's playing well. He's a high-end QB too. He is not this elite quarterback that we think he is. Okay, he is not. I'm sorry. Moving along, speaking of Seattle. Hold on. Sorry. We've talked about him a lot, but it is Ken Walker. Ken Walker's the better player. Ken Walker, how do I put this? If I want to start one, it's probably Ken Walker. If I want to trade for one, it is Charbonnet because he's cheaper and is not that much worse than Walker. People think Walker is this top 5 running back. Now, if Charbonnet was not in the picture, probably, yeah. This guy is a freak, dude. He's a monster. 21 opportunities. It's great stuff. You can probably trade him in for an RB1. You probably can for a top 12 running back. Looking at the guys crushing it right now, who would I trade Walker for? I would rather Javonte Williams. I'm sorry. Rest of season, I would. He's the clear RB1. No one's coming for the job, but the offense is as good or better. Bucky Irving, bring him home, assuming all the injury stuff checks out. O'Marion, Hampton, some of these names are obvious. Derrick Henry is a buy low. Give me Henry for Walker right now. Who else? Skattebo, interesting name. Devon Achane. I prefer these guys to Walker. Judkins, yes. Okay. Swift, no. Pollard, no. Kamara, no. Warren, no. So that's probably the list. That's probably the line. Okay. Kyren Williams. It's tough. I feel like we got to wait for another 19-point, 20-point game because the gap, Williams and Corum, guys, the gap is getting close where Corum might be coming for the job, pushing for 50-50. It probably will be 50-50. You got to get out of Williams if you can, but I do think he has a couple good games left in him. It's a very similar list of guys I'd prefer to Walker, or as to Walker. I view Walker and Williams very similarly, and those guys I just mentioned for Walker who I'd prefer are the same. Jordan Mason, we're done here. We're done on Jordan Mason. Uninspiring against Pittsburgh, 10 points, even caught 3 targets, all 3 of them. Still only 10 points, under 4 a carry. Cleveland is next. We mentioned him as a sell high last week, coming off 24 points. Cleveland's next, then the bye, then Philly. I'm good on Jordan Mason. I'm good. You can probably trade him in for RB2s, Jordan Mason plus something for Judkins, something like that. You have to get out right now. Get out of Jordan Mason. Okay. Etienne, I mean, man, shit. Signed jersey right above me. This is like my favorite player in the NFL. And honestly, he's crushing it. We talked about him in the week 4 review, the most recent video. He's absolutely eating right now. He is the lead back. He's going to play 60% of snaps, take most of the opportunities, probably 17 or more per game. But the fantasy output right now is a lot of big plays, and that is his game. He's a big play, home run hitter. But at some point, I think the big plays are going to chill out a little bit. We have Kansas City up next, then Seattle, very tough defense. Then the Rams, very tough defense. Then the bye week. So 3 of the next 4 weeks are not great. Then Vegas, you get Max Crosby. Then Houston, who has an okay defense. He'll probably cook Houston. But see what I'm saying? Like the next month and a half, it's like, okay, I'm going to put you in my lineup again. Hope you score a 40-yard touchdown. I love Travis. Love him. I think he's slept on. I told everyone on the channel all offseason, on Twitter, whatever, to draft him in every single draft. Because in the 9th round, really wasn't a better pick besides Javonte, who we also told everyone to draft. Hype. But think we might have to get out. The yards per carry is super inflated by the long plays. And if I'm telling you that we might have to move on, you might have to move on. Like, I traded him this week for Benson straight up. Obviously, the trade did not work in my favor this week. In fact, I'm watching the game yesterday. I'm watching Red Zone, and I'm watching Etienne score a 50-yard touchdown. And I had this feeling where I wasn't that upset about it, because I know he's going to do that every once in a while. He's done it 3-4 games in a row now. And you shouldn't be upset when he goes and does that, because you just say to yourself, damn, okay, so if he didn't do that, he only would have scored 11 points. And we can't rely on these massive plays every single week. So that's where I'm coming from. If you guys don't agree, fair enough. Okay, like I said, dude, biggest Etienne fan literally ever. Me. I'm probably his number 1 fan. Honestly, I'm being dead ass. I'm probably his number 1 fan. You can trade him for, he sits at RB6 right now. You can enter some interesting talks here. You can go and acquire a Skattebo. I'm just thinking a Henry, an Etienne, a Judkins. These are names I want over Etienne. Benson, honestly, still. So, yeah. You can trade for those guys, get some pieces back. I'd do it. James Cook and Jonathan Taylor make the list as sells. Obviously, they're monsters, but again, it just goes back to that conversation of when we look at this list, who's really going to rise and who's going to fall of top RB scorers. I do think Cook and Taylor make their way down below Bijan, McCaffrey, Gibbs as we get into week 7, 8, 9. So listen, if you want to just keep them, they're cooking for you, great. But if you're 3-1, 4-0, you got to think long-term, you got to think playoffs now. Honestly, if you're 4-0, I need you thinking about playoffs. You can literally lose 4 games in a row and be in the playoff hunt, so I need you to think that way. If you have bye weeks, whatever, definitely go secure those. But it's too early to think about playoffs, but it's not too early to think about who the best player is rest of season. We should always be thinking that way with a winning record. Whereas if we have a losing record, we have to think about, okay, need to win some games here. So need some players who I know are going to get touches. Speaking of those players, Cam Skattebo. So if you're a losing team, I think Skattebo is a nice trade target. 25 rush attempts, 2 targets, but overall he's a sell high because he's the type of player, it's like Derrick Henry light, honestly. 25 rush attempts, dude. I'm going to need more than 13 PPR points. Obviously, Dart got in the end zone rushing. Dart had 10 attempts of his own on the ground, and that's going to cut into his value. It is. It sucks, but it is. Skattebo's great, but we look at the schedule. New Orleans will be easy, then Philly. It's not that easy, dude. Then Denver. We've been talking about how Denver's an okay matchup, middle of the road, fine. Philly again, not easy. San Fran, not easy. Chicago, easy. Green Bay, not easy. Detroit, not easy. New England, whatever. And then by that point, it's week 14. In the playoffs, we have Minnesota and then Las Vegas. So I don't love the schedule. I love the workload. It's awesome. But Tyrone Tracy's going to come back. I know it sounds dumb, but he will factor in. They're not going to give Skattebo 27 opportunities per game. It's great stuff. You'd be buying really high if you went to get him. So I would look to sell for RB2 level. Judkins, Swift, players like that. Yes, DeAndre Swift, if you're a winning team. Okay. You might think I'm crazy. It's just, you don't have to do it. Keenan Allen will work here into the wide receivers. It's very clear for me. The picture after 4 weeks is very clear. Quentin Johnston is Herbert's wide receiver 1. Ladd is not startable. Keenan Allen is a high-end flex. Yeah. So he's a high-end flex, which means he's like wide receiver 24 for me rest of the season. And he currently sits at wide receiver 14. So who are some players that are not performing as well as him that I would prefer? Nico Collins, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Courtland Sutton, depending on how tonight goes, Tet McMillan. Okay, these names. Those are really the names. Brian Thomas? I don't know. He's like a Brian Thomas for me. It'd be an interesting trade, Allen for Thomas. Very interesting topic. I don't really want to talk about it right now because I don't know. But 33 years old, not the number one target. Quinton Johnston is. He is the guy. So, yeah, it's time to get out here. It's time to get out. We saw a floor here, 8.5 fantasy points in week 4, easy matchup. It's time to get out. Okay, word. Deebo Samuel, very similar. Very, very similar vibes here with Deebo. Would trade him for a lot of the same guys. He currently sits at wide receiver 11. Terry McLaurin's coming back. So, yeah, we're out there. Pittman, a little bit of a different vibe, just really relying on touchdowns right now. And 3 touchdowns in 4 games, and the most he scored is 20 points. 15 points yesterday, had 10 targets. But again, anything attached to Daniel Jones that is cooking right now, I want to sell. It doesn't mean that Michael Pittman is not going to be a good asset, but right now Pittman's wide receiver 13. I would prefer Keenan Allen. We just talked about him, so that's an example of how a player can be both a buy and a sell. I'd prefer Keenan. I'd prefer Nico, Garrett Wilson, probably Marvin, and you can probably get more with Marvin for Pittman. Ricky Pearsall, I'd prefer, assuming he's healthy. Courtland Sutton, Drake London, obviously, right? But these are the names. Okay, he's wide receiver 13. Yo, Michael Pittman is a high-end wide receiver 2. Month through the season, who can you give me? Okay, your wide receiver 2 is Courtland Sutton, send him over. Pittman's outperforming him, dude, send him over. That's how you got to be in the trade office, okay? That's how you have to be. DK Metcalf, get him off your team. I'm over this. I'm good. 4 targets in week 3, 5 in week 4. Took one to the house. Big play dependent. Top 10 right now. Will not last. No. Speaking of buying and selling, Xaiver Worthy is so interesting because I just traded for him. He's my wide receiver 4 in my league. And it's great. It's a great feeling. I didn't start him in week 4, but he's going off. Most rushing yards on team, most receiving yards. I don't know if it finished that way with the rushing, but I think it did. And he's great. Every time he steps on the field, he has a 40 to 50% chance of being out for an extended amount of time. It's a very risky thing. Next week, a great matchup against Jacksonville. Then another good matchup in week 6. And then Rashee Rice is coming back. So I'd love to use him in weeks 5 and 6. I would love to use him. I think he's going to be awesome. Only played 59% of the snaps we saw last year when he was fully integrated, around those 80% marks. A lot of people don't realize how good he was in the fantasy playoffs, averaged over 20 points per game. And then in the real life NFL playoffs was amazing. So when he's active, he's going to be good. When Rashee comes back, I don't think he's going to be that good. I shouldn't say that. I just think the targets are going to go down. He'll probably see 5, maybe 6, not 8, 9, 10. Rashee really dominates the targets. So who knows? Maybe his role stays the same. 8 targets on 60% of snaps plus rushing attempts, so 10 opportunities is pretty awesome. Like I said, weeks 5 and 6, he's an A+ start, high-end wide receiver 2. After that, I'm not sure. So what I'd probably do is start him in week 5, watch him go off, assuming he makes it through the game. And then, okay, it's time to get out of Xaiver Worthy, Rashee Rice coming back in a week. And your league mates aren't dumb. They know Rice is coming back. They know that. But it's dude, he's got Detroit next week at home. Over-under is going to be 55 points. Just play him. And they probably will, especially those teams with a losing record. Finally, the final sell on the list, Hunter Henry. Looking at the tight end landscape, we've been doing this for RBs, but he is the tight end 1 in fantasy right now, pre-Monday Night Football. Same thing with Dalton Kincaid, who's the tight end 2. Get them off your team. Goodbye. Tucker Kraft, Tyler Warren, Trey McBride, Brock Bowers. Get these players on your team instead. And that is going to do it, guys, for the episode today. A long one, but a good one. I hope you enjoyed. Peace.